Hey guys, it's me, Moonlit Matt. Are your pants off yet? Because they should be, because you're entering Quite Frankly. Or is he entering you? Enjoy the show.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up.
Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life.
It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back.
Does anybody else want to stay?
Let's ride!
Well, how's everybody feeling? It's Tuesday. It's Tuesday night. Whoa. Sorry, what was that? Was that a dramatic organ playing? I gotta remember that. What else do I have over here?
Hello? Oh, it's the big gay robot. I forgot about that.
I forgot about the big gay robot. What's the other one? There's Blue Shadows. And I got a beep. Okay, in case I really have to curse badly. Well, everybody, it's good to have you here. Welcome to Tuesday night. It's been a pretty good day. Pretty good day. I wasn't able to start writing tonight's show until about 2 p.m. So... but it's all good because I started the day off. I got all of my postcards written. Those are going to be going out. Polaroids go out tomorrow. By the way, like I told you last night, the postcard club on Quite Frankly, if you want to become a monthly sponsor, you can do it anywhere. But if you want something special, Patreon and Subscribestar, I would go to Patreon right now. I'm upgrading the postcard club. This month was the first month that Lauren and I went out there and we got some really great originals printed. And this is a picture of Dom the ice cream trucks from outside the Spring Fling that we put a nostalgic glow on it. Anthony sent it over to me. He says, look, it's nostalgic Dom's truck. And then Jay said it looked like it's on fire. I said, let's turn it into a postcard. So from here on in, all the postcards are going to be Quite Frankly themed. It's going to come either right from the show, from behind the scenes, something like that. And we have 7 of these left over from the batch that we had in June. If you want one of the 7, just send a tip on PayPal and make sure that you have your address included in on it. And if we get more requests than what we have left over, we'll just print more. And that's what we'll do. I would get in on those tiers. It's good. And for the next 2 weeks, 90% off your first month on Patreon. So I'm excited about that. I got that done. Then we went to, it was the 20 week, almost 21 weeks pregnant now, Lauren is. I'm pregnant as well. Thank you, guys. Thanks. And we got to go to the anatomy scan. It's like that big one where they take a count of everything, and then you don't really see them for weeks now. Not until the 36 weeks. I don't know what the hell it is, but Aurora got to go. So we're just sitting there. We're watching her sister. Her name is Luciana, by the way. You guys should know that. I told everybody on the flip side last night. I forgot to tell everybody. Aurora's baby sister's name is Luciana. And that's what we got to do there. And then I got home and I had the distinct honor of joining Timothy Gordon on his show, on his channel, with Father Chad Ripperger. And I've been hoping I get to talk with Father Chad, and he's an exorcist. He's an an incredible media personality at this point. He has just done such great appearances over the last however many years, and just very fascinating and so smart, and very accommodating as well, very friendly. So that was awesome, and you can go watch that on Tim's channel, Rules for Retrogrades. I'm also going to extract my appearance on there and upload it on Quite Frankly and list Tim as a collaborator and all that stuff. So we'll do that as part of some of the premieres that we'll do while I am deep into New England with Lauren and Aurora. Thursday morning we drive off, and we'll be back on Sunday. So it's just really Thursday, and we'll be updating from the road, and there'll be plenty uploaded and stuff. So there's that. And that was great. That was really great. We talked about aliens and demons, the deception, and tying it into exorcism and all that other stuff. Really interesting. And I think it's going to be a foundation for what would be hopefully a wonderful appearance from both Tim and Father Chad on this show one day, no matter when it is. He's an in-demand guy. And even if it's later on this year or 2027, I don't know. I'll be grateful whenever it happens, and that will kick ass, just like today kicked ass. Now, as for tonight, we're going to be taking a closer look into the growing debate over empathy and compassion, and whether good intentions can sometimes produce disastrous results. That's kind of rhetorical. We know that is the path. What did they say? The road to hell is paved with good intentions. That's exactly what it is. And it really got, there's a little bit of rocket fuel in the tank on that particular debate when it comes to John C. Reilly. He appeared on somebody's podcast, and he went off about some comments that Elon Musk made about empathy being a trap, the empathy trap, which is essentially what we have found ourselves mired in, dying slowly, actually dying pretty quickly when you think about how long it took to build up Western civilization, and we're only about 80 years removed from the end of World War II, and that was really like the death knell of it all. So it's been progressing rapidly. And I want to ask you guys about this because it ties into what we were talking about last night with Christopher Knowles about the level of communication that is even possible with people anymore. What disagreements really mean, and of course we were talking about some of those hindrances, some of those hurdles actually being demonic in nature, how people really are possessed, and there's a certain level of spiritual programming that disallows somebody from actually even existing outside of the parameters of their political, socio-political programming. It's crazy how you can just tell a pod person from a mile away. Here's one pod person you can tell from a mile away. I'll get to this a little bit later on. Here, for example, like if you see somebody standing by the reflecting pool by the Lincoln Memorial. Yesterday, I said the Washington Monument. I remembered. I think I said the Washington Monument. The reflecting pool that everybody's talking about. It's blue. It's green. It's algae. It's terrorism. Whatever the hell it is. Here's how you know you'll be able to talk to somebody. If you see somebody with this color hair holding one of those, rainbow flags with the inverted triangle and all that other stuff, screaming at a pool, trying to talk to algae, then you probably will not be able to discuss anything of substance with them.
She is doing good today, honey. Team Algae. Everybody's proud of you. You are single-handedly doing more to fight fascism than any American has. Yes. Let's go, Algae. Yeah, Algae. Woo, Algae!
Okay. So, which is kind of ironic because they're kind of like the algae. I don't even want to. That was actually that's an insult to algae, because algae has a purpose, especially in swamps and those ecosystems. They are welcome food. They are regulating in their own way. We'll have an algae night if you want it. These people are just top scum. That really they don't do anything, and they just exist and float through and don't add anything in. And of course, there they are at the reflecting pool talking to what they're hoping is algae listening to them, because if the reflecting pool turns a deep fungus-like green, then it'll make Donald Trump upset, and that's all they care about. And that's a disabled person. And for the fact that, even just for performance sake, they would say, "Oh, algae, you've done more to fight fascism than any American ever has." Just crazy, which is absolutely crazy, but they're crazy people. And you got to be able to, obviously they're wearing their costumes. Some people never take their costumes off. Others are a little bit more perfectly possessed, and they just kind of own it, and they just, well, who the hell knows? But these are the clown brigade types of people. Crazy. Talking to algae. Just talking to algae like it's just anything else, talking to the mailman. So we're going to talk about that. And I want to ask you, after we jump into John C. Reilly's ridiculous comments and all that, I want to ask you 2 questions. Well, the first question is on that topic, and that is, when was the last time you changed your mind on something really important? Okay? When was the last time you changed your mind about something important? So we're talking about the ability for people to disagree, for the ability of people to, God forbid, change their mind about something. That's a big deal. So write it down. We're going to need your calls tonight. This is a talk show night. It's a call-in night. I'm going to give you 2 topics. The second half, I have a story. I have a story about former Broncos football player Brandon Marshall, who is in the middle of a debate about tough love parenting for making his son jog, however many miles as part of like some kind of a disciplinary measure at home. It's like 2 a.m. I don't know what the hell it is, but people are like, this is child abuse, all that other stuff. And it made me think about a post that Sam Hyde put out a few weeks back that I saved, and I was thinking about a night to talk about it. That was all about, peaceful parenting versus, hitting your children and all that other stuff. And I want to bring that up in the second half to just kind of give you guys some variety and ask you a question. Here's another thing you write down for. What is something your parents did that would get them canceled today? Your parents, or you for that matter. I mean, you can call in tonight, whatever. Just don't call in the middle of beating your children, please. But think about that. What is something that your parents did that would get them in trouble today? So the first thing is about changing your mind. When's the last time you did that about something important? And that's the rest of it. I also would like to take a moment really quick to thank a Spring Fling sponsor who's only on with us until Independence Day weekend. And I just want to thank them so much because they added so much to the event, and I've become good friends with the people over there at Pluck. That is Pluck Seasoning. Eatpluck.com. It's seasoning, but it's also a superfood, ladies and gentlemen. It's the perfect way to get organ meats into your diet, into your kids' diet, your parents' diet, without them ever knowing about it and going, "Ew, what is this?" And I don't want to eat liver either. So it's great that it just tastes incredible. Even the pets love it. There's people in this audience that say, "Hey, I've been putting this into my pets' food, and they've been doing great. Their coats are shining like silk." Well, I don't know if that's going to happen for your pet, but still, Pluck. Fellas, especially for the guys out there, if you're the one that's in charge of the grill for the 4th of July and every other major family gathering and your barbecue and all that stuff, obviously have a little sea salt on hand, but have at least a small variety of Pluck there by the grill. It is just on the burgers, on the steaks, whatever the hell it is. My favorite is the zesty garlic because, Guinea. But perfect grill companion. So use the promo code SUMMER and you're going to get money off. It's like 10 or 15%, something like that. SUMMER at eatpluck.com. Trust me. Just replace, everybody's got seasoning at home. I'm just saying, bring it up a notch. Make the seasoning better. Throw out the McCormick, throw out the Lowry's, eatpluck.com. And they're only on with me for another week, and they deserve some attention because they've just been really great friends. Okay. A few things leading up to our main topic tonight. Here's the first one. No, that was from before. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll do that over the weekend. To hell with it. America's dirtiest cities. Is your city one of them? Top 10 dirtiest cities revealed. Both NYC area and California hotspots make the filthy cut. No, really? Really? Let's get there. First things first. Let's see here. We see it. New York City managed to skirt the top 10. Big Apple's unofficial six-borough, Newark, New Jersey, was outed as the sixth most unsanitary city with an overall score of 48.06. You can smell Newark coming a mile away. A mile away. What's that smell? It's Newark. But it's Newark's resident dissatisfaction rate is where they really shone, ranking third out of 303 cities in total. Meanwhile, two California cities, San Bernardino and Los Angeles, took the top two spots respectively, along with Ontario, which sits about halfway between the aforementioned metropolises at number 5. Ontario, from Canada, are they in it too? This is the former second year at number 1 thanks to their poor air quality. Trying yet another, that's California. Cali City. Oh, another Cali City, Ontario. See, I don't know. I didn't know that. I didn't know that there was an American Ontario. There's probably like 15. For the worst in the category, Ontario is the worst, as well as it egregiously littered roadways, prevalence of junkyards, 12 in all, and 75% share of residents who say they're dissatisfied with the city's level of pollution. This is California, mind you. They thumb their nose at everybody else. At least the state government does. Overall, a total of 9 Golden State cities tied for the worst median air quality out of 100. One of the strongest showings by state on the list. That's crazy. California air quality is like second to none in bad. That's shit. Oh boy. Detroit came in at number 3, owing to the Motor City's large population of smokers at nearly 24%, high toxic chemical waste management activity, and inadequate living conditions. Cigarette smokers actually can, I guess it would contribute in some way. I didn't think that it would be a metric that would actually be detectable, though. Rounding out the top 5 leaves Reading, Pennsylvania at number 4. Reading Railroad. Reading Railroad. By the way, after the show ends tonight, I'm going to log into Amazon Prime and we're going to buy things together. No, I'm going to put on Amazon Video. We're going to go to the Mr. Rogers episode on the flip side where he goes grocery shopping. It's one of my favorite episodes. It's whenever Aurora puts it on, like, oh, he's going to the grocery store again, and I love it. Because you get to go in there, you get to look at all the prices, kidney beans for 69 cents. But I don't know. I just want to watch that particular field trip with you. It only take like maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes tops, where he goes downstairs into the basement and he talks to the multi-generational owner of the store. He used to work there when he was a kid. I don't know. I said, you know what? I'm going to watch this on the flip side tonight. I told Lauren. She said, okay. And that's how that happened. Why'd I bring it up? Probably because I sang Reading Rainbow. And I was just in like the children's programming nostalgia part of my brain. But anyway, the 10 most dirty cities, starting with number 10, Corona, California, Las Vegas, Nevada, New Jersey City, New Jersey, Phoenix, Arizona at 7, Newark at 6, Ontario, California at 5, Reading, Pennsylvania at 4, Detroit at 3, Los Angeles 2, San Bernardino at 1. Damn. I can't believe that New York actually avoided the top 10. 10 least dirty cities: South Bend, Indiana, Wilmington, North Carolina, Des Moines, Iowa, Davenport, Iowa. That is where our coffee is put together, at Coffee Revolution in Davenport, Iowa. That's it. That's where I'm telling you, no rat shit coffee over here. Go buy Quite Frankly coffee. You know, everybody else is white labeling it. Rat shit all over the place. We get these the beans from Micro Farms, baby, and it's all taken care of by our wonderful friend Paige in Davenport. Athens, Georgia, Winston-Salem, North Carolina, Fargo, North Dakota, Frederick, Maryland, Pleasanton, California, and Lynchburg, Virginia. least 10 least dirty cities. Good for all of you in that that second category, because you contributed to that. You contributed to the cleanliness of it all. Or you were one of the people shitting in the streets of the first 10, which I disown you at that point. I disown you. So here's something that's going to make John C. Reilly very upset. Trump effort to expand speedy deportations of migrants can proceed, appeals court rules. A federal appeals court handed President Donald Trump a significant win in his mass deportation efforts with a ruling Tuesday, reviving his administration's move to speed up deportations of undocumented immigrants, illegal aliens in the United States. The ruling of the U.S. D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals allows the Trump administration to cast a wider net over who's subject to the fast-track deportation procedure known as expedited removal, which allows immigration authorities to remove an individual from a country without a hearing before an immigration judge. Good. Goodbye. The decision allows the administration to move forward with its plan to quickly deport undocumented illegal aliens who are residing in the United States and can't prove that they lived in the country continuously for 2 or more years. Yeah, that'd be a good place to start. Can't prove that you've lived here for 2 or more years. A trial court had previously blocked the administration's January 21st, 2025 maneuver to expand the policy, but there you go. Judges Justin Walker and Naomi Rayo, both Trump appointees, sided with the administration. Judge Robert Wilkins, who was put on the bench by President Barack Obama, dissented. Imagine my shock. It's very political. I don't care. In this case, politics is the best route forward, because that's just common sense. Gotta go. Come on in the right way. And if you qualify, then won't you be, please won't you be my neighbor? Stop driving up the price of kidney beans. Anyway, John C. Reilly rejects Elon Musk's warning about empathy. And he says, empathy is a superpower. Yes, he did. You want to hear about it? Here is the actual quote. It's a minute and a half. I don't know who he's talking to. It's this girl I've seen. She was the one that was conducting the Ellen Page, Elliot Page interview the other day. Like, whenever somebody says something ridiculous, she goes, keeps moaning.
If you stand up for human rights, why is that a right or a left thing? Why aren't people on the right wing concerned about human rights? They're human too. This whole thing that like kind of has come into vogue of like empathy trap. It's an empathy trap. Like that's what Elon Musk says. Like empathy is like, don't be fooled by the empathy trap.
Yes.
Stick to your agenda and what's best for you.
Holy fuck.
Don't start feeling bad for so and so. They're on their own thing. Look out for number one. Like it's like, wait a minute. Empathy is not a trap. Empathy is a superpower.
That's right.
That's what makes human beings exceptional. Our ability to like look outside of ourselves. We're not an alligator trying to just get the next fish. We're human beings. We can relate to something that's not us. That like that's a superpower. Like, and it's also the
good. John, keep cutting her off. At least he's doing that. At least he won't let her speak. We don't have to hear. Yes, fart into my mouth.
Cornerstone of civilization.
Shut up.
The fact that we stay at the red light and don't just zoom out because we want to get through the light faster, because what will happen? Well, we might smash into someone. Well, you don't know that person. Yeah, but I still don't want to smash into them.
Oh, that is so stupid. I mean, I guess if I was preparing for the debate on this subject and you gave me the role of John C. Reilly and I had to debate this from that topic, I would find a better analogy. How stupid. Oh my, you see how manipulative and narcissistic these people are? And maybe he really isn't, maybe he's not that self-aware, but it's actually just that much of a simpleton. I mean, he plays a simpleton awfully well on screen. He's done it many times over. He's had a couple of notable serious roles, but he plays simpleton incredibly well. And it doesn't look like he was acting. So what it really comes down to is, let me see if he says anything else that's incredible.
Like those are the building blocks of civilization. That's the agreement
And
that we treat. I mean, it's very Catholic too. Do unto others. You know, treat your brother as you would treat yourself. You know, like.
And to your point about the right
it's
wing,
crazy that we have to argue for these things right now.
It's
the world. That's a
insane.
really upside down world feeling to me.
I am so happy he cut her off as much as he did. But John, you know, he has beliefs, and his beliefs are not only are they truly good and empathetic, but his beliefs transcend politics. You see, you can be left or right if you'd like, if you choose, but on the matters of what is ultimately good, if you're not with John C. Reilly, then hell, you're evil. You know, or at the very least, you're woefully misguided. And perhaps you had you were bullied or something like that. I don't know. And, you know, maybe you're worthy of his pity at that point. But you see how this works? You see why Elon Musk calls this bullshit a trap? I mean, we've coined the term, and then it's been coined 10,000 other times, and I articulate it in so many other ways because it's true and it's obvious after a while. But compassion is weaponized, especially on women, especially on liberal women, especially the voting bloc that has been turned into there is just gone. I want to talk about unreachable people, but liberals practically they make practically all reasonable disagreements seem like an act of cruelty. That's what it is. That's what we're at right now. They make all reasonable arguments seem like it's an act of cruelty. Because at the end of the day, John C. Reilly and his friends are not getting together on a Saturday night and, you know, doing the old midnight run. Okay. They're not doing the midnight run down to Skid Row, where they're giving out soup down there to all the homeless and all the drug addled and all the illegal immigrants and stuff like that. But the illegal immigrants would actually have better shelter than the homeless Americans. That's not all entirely true. So what they're ever always talking about is delegating what they may believe to be goodwill to somebody else, to a federal employee, to take from you and to delegate. So he can, of course, you know, go on his podcasts and make goofy movies and all that shit. He's not going to do the midnight run and feed everybody soup and rice. Not going to be. That's just it. But it's really just advocating for theft. And that's the whole point here. That's the whole point here. So because it takes too much work to be independent and to actually to be moral and to actually put your morality into work and to actually better yourself, as well as reach out to those in need and be a good neighbor and be a good fellow human, that takes too much work. So instead, they offload all of this utopian nonsense onto their favorite politician, and it makes them feel good in that respect. They get to go to all the places that think the same way. And they have a time. They have a time without actually putting anything into it. And what it really just does is advocates for the theft from people who really need the money and who are struggling. That's it. You know, it's bad enough that every disagreement we have over here becomes some sort of moral judgment from these people. But to be morally judged by people who haven't evolved past kindergarten logic is just frightful at times. Frightful, because they sit there as if this is just the way it is. You're like, all right, well, maybe they'll have some road to Damascus moment, but I don't see it coming. I don't see it coming. It has happened, though. I do have an example of that, and I'll show it to you, and then I'll open up the lines. But all in all, liberals are the kids who always get into the strange van with the bowl of candy out front of it. They're always the kids that get into the strange van. The mindset is just wild. It really is. Really is. You know? And also they're the people who sit there by the side of the reflecting pool and scream at the algae. What are you going to do with that? What are you going to do with that? So, it's 7:29, and I want to open up the lines on this one in particular so we get enough in on it. And I'm going to play something for you in the meantime. Here's the question I'm going to put out there for you guys again. When was the last time that you changed your mind about something really important? You can call in 914-200-0269. Also, please remember to like, share, comment, especially if you're watching after the fact. If you're not subscribed, hit subscribe and hit the bell. It is the only way to get around what is this ridiculous selection process of how content is suggested to even subscribers. Make sure the notifications are on, because then that will override everything that is algorithmic in nature and absolutely antithetical to, voluntarily subscribing to something and thinking you're going to see more of it. Now, anyhow, 914-200-0269. When was the last time you changed your mind about something important? I would like to hear from you. Just so stupid, all this stuff. It really is. And here's an example. I don't know how often this happens. We've heard walk-away stories for years now. I guess this took some I would say courage posting. And he said, what is it, Shibuki Sunrise or something like that, Sunshine? I thought I hated Charlie Kirk until one simple question forced me to realize that I didn't know anything about him. I don't know how many people this would work on, but take a listen to this.
Actually glad that Charlie Kirk was murdered, but probably not for the reason you think. I was at work when I first found out. A fellow employee had wandered up to me, cell phone in hand, and asked, "Did you hear that Charlie Kirk just got assassinated?" And I, without even a moment's hesitation, responded, "Good! Fuck that Nazi white supremacist piece of shit!" I had never before witnessed such a perfectly blended expression of disgust, disappointment, sadness, and surprise, all through the window of another man's eyes, or experienced a silence so uncomfortable as the one that followed. And although that look on his face now haunts me more and more with each passing day, at the time, it only made me distrustful and upset. But little did I know that the sentence which followed would end up becoming the most profoundly psychologically impactful question that I've ever been confronted with. Have you ever actually watched any of his debates? I decided to end the conversation immediately. This man was clearly a lost cause, one of those intellectually dishonest Kool-Aid drinking types who refuses to engage in good faith with any perspective which contradicts their outstandingly narrow and propagandized worldview. And by this man, I mean me. Because I hadn't actually watched any of his debates. I was basing literally every single thing I believe about a human being with thousands of hours worth of publicly available recordings of himself openly expressing his opinions on a small handful of out-of-context clips that had been curated for me by algorithms and media organizations being funded by the political opposition. I foamed at the mouth, right along with the rest of those rabid and bloodthirsty dogs, gleefully mocking those who had been saddened by his death and downplaying the atrocity of it all by suggesting that political violence is just an unfortunate yet necessary step toward our coveted socialist revolution, that is, until I began to notice a common thread. The exact same comment being repeated ad nauseum in nearly every single online space. Have you ever actually watched any of his debates? I didn't think much of it at first. Of course right-wingers are all regurgitating the exact same talking point. They're in a cult. They're brainwashed. It was an ordinary and boring morning on the day I found out that I am a monster. In that moment where my curiosity got the best of me and I decided to click on some random YouTube thumbnail of Charlie Kirk with his goofy and gummy smile in an attempt to reaffirm my preconceived biases. And it was an unusually stressful afternoon on that very same day when I spoke to my father for the first time in years, despite the fact that he had always loved and supported me unconditionally. And it was a never-ending sleepless night, coming to terms with the fact that literally every single thing I thought I hated about the right, the bigotry, stupidity, violence, vitriol, and narrow-mindedness, was actually just an outward projection of hatred toward my own self. Charlie Kirk is my hero. He opened my eyes to the cruel and manipulative nature of our political media, brought my family back together, and taught me how to love again. And to anyone who takes issue or offense with that, I'm going to do exactly what he would have done, and challenge you to answer a simple, honest, and straightforward question. Have you ever actually watched any of his debates? I'm actually glad.
So I thought, I came across that a few days ago, and I thought that was pretty brave thing. Pretty brave thing, and it goes right hand in hand with what I'm talking about. Then John C. Reilly clips started going around last night. I said, okay, so I see how these pieces fit, and let's just put it out there. I mean, that's something pretty big. So I'm hoping you guys find something about this that relates to you, and you pick up the phone and give me a buzz, and that would make for a a really interesting conversation. In the meantime, I'm just going to thank Mark the Carnivore for sending over a super chat. Says, here's my weekly empathetic coconut fund contribution. Love to the Franklies and the family. Well, thank you, Mark. Thank you so much. Last night on the flip side, I also realized how easy it was to make a pina colada. So I'm gonna figure that out, because Aurora has been saying that she wants to be able to have a drink out of a coconut, and I think that'd be a good thing a virgin one, of course. I'm not gonna put the rum in there. I will be having the rum though. 413, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey Frank, it's Grady from Massachusetts.
It's good to hear from you, Grady. What's on your mind?
I was thinking one big major mind change, and a smaller, less important but telling one. I was pretty much a Democrat up until 2016, when a friend began pointing out what a crook Hillary was. And I began seeing more and more of how corrupt the Democratic Party was. When I first voted for Trump, I was voting against Hillary. But as I watched more and more what was going on, I liked him more and more. But just seeing what a crook Hillary was and how corrupt the whole Democrat thing was really changed my whole perspective on politics.
And that was something that was just, I know there's a lot of people who I have quite a few people in my own life, friends, who never voted until sometime after 2016. That there was a lot. It was either they were bucking family voting traditions, or however they tend to be staunchly one way or another. I mean, a lot of things were changing. A lot of people have at least declared their independence over the last 10 years. So I know that there's got to be tons of people in this audience who have pretty significant transformation stories that all start with the heart and the mind, which is the hardest thing to change. So that absolutely. And I thank you for kicking this one off.
You're quite welcome. And congratulations on getting ultrasound and coconut and everything is going well.
Oh, thank you so much. She was really moving around today, that kid. And I was having a good time, and Aurora was watching her too. So this was great. Special. Yeah. Thank you, Grady. Have a great night. Yesterday was the first time that Aurora actually felt Luciana kicking. And it's been like six kicks a day she's felt ever since then, between yesterday and today. So yeah, everything is doing well. So thank you, and keep us in your prayers, obviously, please. Thank you so much. All right, who else we have over here? Shotzi sent some love. Thank you so much, Shotzi. It's good to have you out there. We got a call over here, 765. Is this Sentinel?
No, this is Molly Artie.
Molly Artie, welcome to the show. Hello.
Oh, hello. Well, on the discussion of decisions that you changed your mind on, I used to rely heavily on Facebook and other social medias to promote my artwork. And sometime around 2016 or so, it just was gut-wrenching just to think about getting on there, because the algorithms weren't feeding me the stuff I was subscribed to, much like they are today. So I just dropped it everywhere. And I've never felt better about things. So I'm very selective on my social media. I am back on a couple things, but I just am very selective.
Well, Molly, I know for a fact that there's a couple of people who had Etsy as like the centerpiece of their awakening story, where they were either very much a part of what would be I don't know. Sometimes you would call a person who just very loosely or in a shallow way practices their faith in the Catholic Church. They'll call them cafeteria Catholics. I think that a lot of people were figuring that they might be cafeteria Republicans or Democrats too. Just, hey, it's just something I do. I vote this way. My family's always voted this way. And then suddenly, in one way or another, they find themselves in the middle of a crossfire of true believers. And what the hell is really becoming of their little clique, or the team that they supposedly root for. And Etsy was one of those places where there was quite a few people who were almost exposed, doxxed, or whatever the hell it is, early on, because of maybe not even just supporting Donald Trump, but maybe not being sufficiently liberal, and that actually woke a lot of people up and pushed them to the opposite side of the tracks, at least for one or two election cycles. So I know that there's impetus and there's inspiration for change all over the place, and a lot of it is significant, especially when you base the first, I don't know, 20 to 40 years of your life on one way of thinking or one way of approaching an election, or your place in the country, your responsibility as a citizen. A lot of things change for a lot of people very quickly these days.
Very much so. I agree with that. And I'm seeing it on a regular basis now. It's go outside. If I go to the store, even, you are going to find somebody who probably should be institutionalized, unfortunately.
Yeah. Oh, that's a big one. And thanks you for the call, Molly. It's really great to hear from you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Hey,
Okay.
Yeah, you know the other thing there too, beyond that, of course, is you have to watch out for the other changes. Because people go from just jumping ship on one thing into just trying to get off. I mean, there's, hey, what do you know? There's a lot of people out there who are pretty black-pilled right now, who are pretty clown-pilled right now, who actually feel like there is no viable options going forward anywhere. That just try to simplify things, take it one day at a time, and not pay attention to too much outside of that at all. I mean, those are major changes. I thought I would have my door getting knocked down right now. Jay Britt says they all talk to algae because it's an intellectual peer. They have so much in common. You're right. I also have a chat room poll that's going on right now. There's 198 votes over there. If you're on YouTube, then please vote. And if you're not on YouTube, go over there just to vote. Leave a like on the stream. And the question is, what matters more? Is it compassion, truth, a balance of both, or depends on the situation? At this point, it's truth by a 20-point margin, 49%, over a balance of both at 29%. Compassion only has 3. I think we have 3% liberals in the chat room right now. They live among us. What are you going to do? 313, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, Frank, this is Corinne Zimmerman calling from Grosse Pointe, Michigan.
Hey.
And I just put you on.
It's great to hear from you. Go ahead.
Well, I just tuned into the show right now, so I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about, but I do have some news from Grosse Pointe as far as our gay pride parade that happened this Saturday. Okay, well, maybe we can get to that a little bit later. For the meantime, here's the subject matter. The question was, because we're talking about empathy, the empathy trap, as Elon Musk put it on Twitter, that made some left-wing celebrities and others in the podcast world talk about how empathy is actually everything, that we need empathy now and all that stuff to pretty much trump logic and law and all that stuff. So I started, and it really gets down into whether or not this is another indictment of the inflexible mental state that we are in as a nation, where you can't really reach people and there's no way to really change somebody. So my question was, when was the last time that you changed your mind about something very important, whether it was the way that you saw a war? I guess it might be a red pill moment if you want to talk about it that way, but when was the last time you changed your mind about something really important there? Oh, yeah, definitely. So my husband and I, when we got married and we moved to this area in Michigan, they were voting on, it wasn't too long ago, they were voting on making marijuana legal and also about gay marriage. And my husband convinced me that we should vote yes on both of them. And I wasn't too sure about it, but I did. And now I've completely changed my mind on both, just based on what's going on around here as far as the marijuana shops and people driving high all the time. And I I think I was better with it when it wasn't legal, but I didn't care if people smoked it. I mean, I know that you've mentioned that I think you've smoked it, and I just, I don't want to put someone in jail for it, but what's going on now as far as driving and things like that, there's like a marijuana shop on every corner in Detroit. Grosse Pointe is like 5 minutes from Detroit. And also as far as the gay marriage thing, I'm totally against it now, even though I voted for it.
Uh-huh.
And I think that's important.
Yeah, well, I that's something that's a pretty big one. That's a pretty big one too. Especially with the marijuana stuff. I think there's a lot there. There's a lot there where you can see how you say you're a little bit more laissez-faire about things, or a little bit more libertarian about things, and then suddenly you live with the consequences of something, and you say, "Oh, okay, well, we didn't, we didn't adapt too well to this new freedom of ours right now, and perhaps there was a reason why things were kept a little bit more in line, or it was a little bit more tightly regulated, perhaps not illegal, perhaps it was just decriminalized, that people weren't losing their lives and all future, employment opportunities because they smoked a joint one time when they're in their 20s or something like that." But at the same time, right, it's true. You just see a general malaise that starts coming over people. And I think that's where, and thank you for the call, I think that's where, for example, libertarianism is one for me. How just that trademark, that brand of libertarianism, especially forget about the Libertarian Party, TM. What a damn mess. But I remember, there's so many things I remember about me, seeing the world. I remember actually believing that, being libertarian is essentially like being like Blade, the vampire hunter. You have all of their strengths and none of their weaknesses because you are fiscally conservative but socially liberal. Oh man, who couldn't have conceived of this earlier, and why hasn't it taken root? Then you watch the Libertarian Party convention. It's people walking around in G-strings with boots on their head and all that shit. Oh man. Yeah, I mean there's a lot. There's a lot. I think World War II is a big one. World War II is a big one, which leads you back to World War I. And there's a lot of subject matter there. No doubt about it. 914-200-0269. Bring it to the table. 817, you're on the air. Go ahead.
What's going on, Frank? This is Cloud9.
Ah, yes. Hello, Cloud9.
I got to be honest with you. Every time you start off saying, "ah, yes," it gives me, actual hope. And I don't know, it uplifts my spirit a little bit. So now I'm coming in with a higher energy. Good. I appreciate that.
Good. So you have to have at least one on your journey to becoming Cloud9. There has to be at least one or two instances where
that is true. I think we all kind of understand the implicit message behind why the name is Cloud9, and why you should all be in a state of elation. And to get to that state takes a lot of mental acuity, and then also just daily life habits. Well, anyways, I'm getting too off sidetrack here. But one thing that's been changed for me over the years is that I remember starting off pretty much being kind of hardline neoconservative, and I think that was just mainly because of how my family raised me. Very Christian, right wing. Everything that Fox News says is accurate, 100% full blown truth. And then over the years, I became more of that laissez-faire libertarian. And then all of a sudden, I discovered the paleoconservatives, such as Pat Buchanan and Gottfried and all these other thinkers. And specifically the book on Death of the West by Pat Buchanan. And then I think Pat also did another book on America as a republic, not an empire. And so these significantly changed my outlook, because initially I was thinking that, as Americans, we should be a force for good. We should be going out into all these other countries, policing every single interaction that we have, having some, global hegemon where we're able to have our own influence in certain areas of the world. So that way we can progress to a further liberal social democracy not just within the West, but also throughout all of the 7 continents. And then I realized that all of this doesn't align well when you're trying to be diplomatic, create relations, and then also the biggest elephant in the room, obviously, is our foreign ties to a certain country in the Middle East that shall go nameless. And you start to realize that none of what you see on the news is actually how things work. It's the Oz behind the curtain. And so for me, it was that shift in perspective from more hawkish foreign policy, which I wouldn't describe that back then, but knowing what I know now, obviously I would just say it's a very hawkish understanding. And then on top of that, I changed my mind on, the banking system. Specifically, when I go back and I look at history, such as guys like Andrew Jackson going against Nicholas Biddle with chartering the first Federal Bank of America back in the 1830s, I believe. So, and understanding how we got to the place where we had the first bank war, the second bank war, fast forward at least a century to the Federal Reserve Act, which came in like as soon as the Titanic had sunk, if you know, you know. So all of these things happen within a relatively short amount of time where I'm like researching ad nauseum about how essentially America has instituted the Constitution so that we can act as a republic. However, because of the current state of our politicians, who's buying out our entire political class, our financial class, and then also the upper elites in the entertainment industry, you start to realize there's a lot more nefarious activities afoot than previously imagined. And so that was the biggest hurdle for me, was realizing that the system was rigged from the start. And that's what influenced me to be neoconservative towards the very beginning. And then now I've taken the red pill towards the truth, I would say.
Well, I appreciate that, and I have a couple of it popping up too. Now I'm trying to go into a little bit more because once you smell a big rat, that's the big thing. Once you smell a gigantic rat, and your world, your paradigm of trusting what a government is there for, how it's going to serve you, why we're living the way we are. Once your trust in the system is actually completely shattered, then it's off to the races. You start finding, you start looking at things like the Titanic sinking in a different way. You start looking, you're just really off to the races. And as I've said before, you have to pace yourself because it's like drinking from the proverbial fire hose. But I remember also just one little tiny thing, and I appreciate the call very much so, Cloud9. And we have a second topic in the second half that's going to about to start in just a few minutes. You can still talk about this in a second, but I'd love to hear if you called in once. When the second topic kicks off, you have another chance to call in if you want. But Obamacare, 2009, 2010, when that all started kicking off, I was just about a year away from really starting to put things really starting together. Okay, I had a love of conspiracy theories and all that good spooky stuff prior to that. But I never really started reading into just like basic market economics and how things work until I started seeing Ron Paul show up a little bit more on InfoWars. That's how I heard Ron. The first one was that damn Borat movie. And then it was listening to Ron, where he's like put in a really weird situation where he's in the hotel room and Sacha Baron Cohen is like making him all fucking feel weird and whatever. Anyway, once I started hearing him show up on InfoWars and the Ron Paul revolution started up, that was it. I was always interested in the conspiracy theory stuff and inside job stuff. But once I started learning about, how the country's supposed to function, it's just better that way. It was a better backdrop of understanding how far we've slid. And what's the legitimacy of what we're living right now? At one point I thought, well, at least there must have been like, okay, well, if you can get the politicians to pass the laws, I guess they can change whatever they want. You realize the amendment process has not been followed. Everything is just a big illusion, and they destroyed our education along the way to make sure that nobody put two and two together. Obamacare was a big thing. I remember we were broadcasting sometime in 2010. And Obamacare was getting passed, and people were calling into our show, the Zedals in New York show, and some of our longtime listeners there who were a bit older than us that were already plugged into what's going on, they were calling in saying, no, I really don't like what's going on here. They were talking about privacy issues, how they thought that this was going to be a gigantic breach of privacy to centralize healthcare in this way, and that it was going to prevent people from being able to see doctors that they knew of for a while. And of course, the big thing was, I just asked the question, and I remember being really authentic. I couldn't wrap my head around why people would not be for this, because it's free. I remember actually feeling that way. Yeah, I never had anybody really tell me it. It's the first time I'm paying attention to this. I was like, okay, well, why would people be opposed? Like, it's almost like John C. Reilly. That's why I say, I'm sure there's very Machiavellian and manipulative people out there, histrionic people who can't be trusted, who are going to just twist arms and try to just ruin people and lead them to the slaughter. But John C. Reilly may really just believe that bullshit. He might just really be in a very simpleton state of mind. I was like that getting out of college. For at least a certain kind of thing, I was like that getting out of college. But he's 60 something years old at this point, still asking questions like I did in 2010. Why would people? You actually would draw the conclusion it must just be mean-spiritedness. Why else would somebody say no to free healthcare unless they were just mean? That's what it comes down to. That's why I try not to throw the baby out with the bathwater. But when you realize that, okay, it's not free. It has to be paid for. It has to be paid for. And when you realize what insurance is what actually holds insurance in check, where it's the insurance provider betting that you're not going to get sick, and you betting that you will get sick, and everybody assessing the risk of that situation, and then going into a comfortable situation where, a deal where everybody feels like they're holding themselves in orbit and everybody's covered, and there you go. And then how do other insurance carriers how are they able to introduce their services to the marketplace? By undercutting other people and providing things for people who don't have as much money, and providing that, not having to put down a set number of guaranteed things, so that you have more financial and more flexibility to create healthcare packages for people who don't need as much, like me at the time, who had part-time healthcare insurance from the gym I was working at that point. And by the end of 2010, that part-time healthcare insurance was gone. And I said, oh, gotcha. And then I was told, you got to pay a certain amount or you're going to get a fine, because some guy needs mammograms. Some man out there needs mammograms. And Elliot Page needs a mammogram. That's the thing that got me. That's what I'm talking about. I said, oh, I get it. I get what's going on here. It's not free. It ruins so many other things down the line. And if you don't own your labor, Ron Paul, the Federal Reserve, if you don't own your labor, property taxes, estate taxes, if you don't own your house, if you don't own your own labor that you're just taxed and taken from, then you're a slave. Like, no, you can rationalize that all you want. You are a slave. We are slaves. Brandon Joe Williams is not a slave. He figured it out. But if you are having money taken out of your check, out of your income every year, we are slaves. We are being extorted. We are working for the government first for the first 3 to 4 months out of the year. And then the rest of the year, we're trying to catch up to make sure that not only do we pay what we have to get done, we can feed everybody that needs to be fed and perhaps squirrel away a couple of pennies at the end of it. I mean, that's a hard thing to wake up to change your mind about something like that. And it's hard to get other people to pay attention to it. That's why I'm so happy I found you guys. So happy I found you guys. I feel like we're all just such good friends now. So there you go. Okay, we're about to start a second topic. But before we do that, guys and gals, become a sponsor of this show for just 2 things alone. $5 a month is the lowest you can get in on. And for the first month on patreon.com/quite frankly, you can get it for 90% off for Independence Day. That's 50 cents for the first month. For $5 a month, I'll tell you what makes it worth it right off the bat. Our film club watch parties, watching films together, has been so gratifying. It's been such an incredible, gratifying thing. We're going to read books. We read already this year. We read Ready Player One in January. It was fantastic. We're going to read Huckleberry Finn starting on July 6th. So I'll put that thread up next week. So Huckleberry Finn, get your copy, everybody. And then also in July, we're going to be watching Idiocracy together, which Jay Gulinello calls a documentary. It is. So from there on in August, we're going to be watching hopefully Terminator 1 and 2. I forgot what we got in September. We're going to be reading Shutter Island in October. November, who knows what happens because the baby's going to be born. Maybe we'll watch Godfather together because there's a baptism scene in there that's very famous. Everybody knows about. So it's baby themed. Godfather is a children's film because of the baptism scene. That's what I'm going to say from now on. Because of the baptism scene and because of the garden scene at the end when Vito takes a dive into the dirt in the tomato plants. It's a children's film. So we'll watch that. That's what's going to go on there. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. It's so worth it. It's so fucking worth it. I'm gonna really just ram that through today. The Culture Club, books, movies, hanging out. You're gonna love it. Get the Patreon, and that's if you haven't already signed up. You don't have to transfer over to Patreon. New people, go to patreon.com. There's a whole bunch of specialty tiers there too. Okay. All right. Let's see here. One more time through the super chats. Rockman Drum says everything is bullshit. My favorite saying has it's so much love, Franken family. Thank you, my friend. And Rockman Drums and everybody who sent a super chat tonight, yesterday, and tomorrow is when we're doing our drawing. I have 2 prizes I'm giving away. On one side, we have a stack. Everybody's getting precious metals tomorrow. We're getting copper, and everybody's getting 2 silver quarters. The first prize and the second prize. First prize and second prize, we've got a 1953 $2 bill, the red seal $2 bill over here. That's going to be for the first prize. And this is from Shake and Bake. This is a America 250 $2 bill, was just printed. It's legal tender here. It's not money. It's currency. But this is a U.S. Navy special print for U.S. 250. It's an official thing. So that's first prize, second prize. I'm going to be adding chocolate to it. I think I'm going to be adding Keto Brainz to it. So tomorrow, we got 2 prizes going out there. All right, over on... I think we're good to go. I'll do Pilled in just a little bit. You ready? Okay, so the next one up is this. Clearly child abuse. Former Broncos star faces massive backlash over harsh parenting act that sparks fierce online debate. A former NFL star, Brandon Marshall, has found himself in the middle of a storm after a video clip of him disciplining his son went viral. The clip spread quickly across social media and became one of the most talked about NFL stories. What caught people off guard was not just the punishment itself, but how emotional the moment looked as Marshall's son struggled through it. The video has now sparked a broader online conversation. Some fans believe that Brandon Marshall was teaching discipline. Others believe the moment crossed a line, and that's exactly why the backlash has kept growing. Oh boy, former NFL NFL star Brandon Marshall is facing intense online criticism for disciplining his son by making him run at 2 a.m. Take a look at this.
It's no different than when we were in L.A., Santa Monica, running at midnight on the pier. We wanted to do that. We love to do that. And then there's correction. Then there's discipline. You're walking. Run. Discipline, correction is good. Even 2 a.m, we run. I don't got to put my hands on you. But I'm training you up to be a warrior. I'm training you to be a leader, to serve, to have discipline, to be better than me. Run. Let's go. If you don't start running, we're going to go 3 miles. So you better start running because you don't know when I'm going to tell you to stop. You don't want to listen? We run. We work. 2 a.m. Let's go. Faster. I'm driving 3 miles per hour. You should be going at 8 or 9 miles per hour right now. Go. If this truck don't get to 9 miles per hour, I promise you we're going all the way to the gas station, which is 3 miles. Down and back is 3 miles. I'm at 4 miles. I'm at 5. I'm at 6. There we go. Now we moving.
What do you think? I mean, I don't know what he did. The kid's clearly crying over here, and let me see here. The line instantly became focus of the debate. One fan wrote, "Call me soft, but this is clearly child abuse." Another fan came to Marshall's defense and argued that strong discipline has disappeared from modern parenting, saying moments like this build toughness. This is the way. We've tried the soft parenting approach and we've raised a generation of monsters. This is how you instill discipline, another fan added. My problem isn't with him doing it, it's him recording it and posting it on the internet. All your credibility about doing it for the betterment of the kid goes out the window when you post it online. You're doing that shit for validation at his expense, and that's clown behavior. Interesting point. I'd take that as that's valid. I guess that can be taken no matter what you feel about the actual point of this being discipline. One more folk added, he's making his kid exercise. He's not beating him. He's making him work to learn a lesson for something he fell short at. It's probably summertime and schools are out where he might live or close to it. That split in reaction only got sharper when Marshall explained his side on the whole video. So so we don't need to go too much deeper into it. The real question with you guys is, A, what do you think about this whole thing? What does it make you feel? How does it make you feel? What was appropriate? Was a line crossed, and where? And what was something your parents did that would get them canceled today? That would get them, get people in an uproar if a video of anything that used to be normal in your house, at least under extreme circumstances where discipline was necessary, what would get people's panties in a bunch? So that's another thing here. I'm going to leave the lines open on that one, and we're going to take that in just a second. When we come back from this break, I'm going to read you something from Sam Hyde about beating kids or discipline, punishment that gets physical or anything like that. And I want to take your calls as well. Don't go anywhere.
So we made a robot here, Tesla Labs. Got pretty weird. Robot became self-aware and began eating people. Yeah, got very weird. Killer robot got out, escaped the lab. It will kill us all. It's going to kill us all. We've got a week to live. Week and a half, maybe. So use your time wisely, I would say. Watch Spaceballs. Great movie. Spaceballs. May the Schwartz be with you. So, Happy New Year. This is the last one. Yeah, we're all going to die. Yeah, we're all going to die.
Hello, sir. Joe. Hey, Steve, how you doing? What's going on, Steve?
Not much, sir. There's a nurse in there giving him an injection.
Let's check it out.
Quite frankly.
Our enemies are innovative and resourceful, and so are we. They never stop thinking about new ways to harm our country and our people, and neither do we.
Liberal, 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 happy fun, la la la, human smuggling, fentanyl deaths, forced government euthanasia, chopping up children's genitals, la 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 la, la la la.
Liberal. Oh. Okay, so what do you guys got for me? First of all, leave a like, leave a comment, make sure you're subscribed wherever you're watching, and make sure wherever you're watching the notifications are on. Just prove constantly, no matter who you are watching when, if you like what you're engaged in, engage. Tell the platform that you're on that you like the people that you are watching and that you are human and that they should be suggested to other subscribers. Forget about non-subscribers. If I can just reach who I've already attained, life is good. So thank you all so much for helping in a colossal effort to relearn how to use the internet. So let's take a call. 705, you're on the air. What's going on? What do you think about this next topic?
Hey, Frank, it's Pete from Canada.
Pete, what's going on? And thank you so much for another great standby graphic that we were able to use tonight for the first time.
For sure, I'm happy you're using them. It looked great. I thought it looked great, so I'm glad you're using them. But I figured I'd call in on this second topic.
Yeah.
Because I saw that and I was like, you know what? Because my father passed away when I was 4 years old, and those are the types of things that like you don't realize you miss. You know, because when you grow up without like an actual dad, you can have a father figure. And I had my grandfather, I had my stepdad. Like an actual dad can raise his hand at you. He can do that with like authority. And when you don't have that, there's certain disciplines that you don't get. You just don't get them until you learn them the hard way. And if you learn that a little too late in life, that could really set you back, man. It could really set you back. Now, the other thing is that I agree with everybody else saying that you shouldn't put it on the internet, because that's not right. You shouldn't put that on the internet for your kids' sake, right? But yeah. So I guess for the other topic you had earlier with the empathy thing there, I think that's like kind of the crux of the whole situation, because what people are really saying there is, do you know the difference between right and wrong? Why aren't you seeing what I see as right as right? Express empathy, be compassionate. But the truth is that it's like a cultural thing where the difference might be religious, or I mean, in the United States, it might be state to state, city to city. In Canada, we're told to keep our culture. So it is exasperated to the point where, and this goes into your other topic, the point where, like for me, I've decided my thing that I changed was I quit streaming. I said, I'm not going to be talking online anymore, because it got to the point where it was like, you can't really break through the amount of cultural back and forth, because there's no normative authority, and it's more chaotic up here in that sense. But you know, you guys are seeing it too.
Yeah,
you guys are seeing it too. Yeah.
Well, you see how everything actually really ties in together, because you know the topic of the first half really does go hand in hand with the topic of the second half. You think about discipline and what is empathy, and should there ever what is John C. Reilly really saying? I mean he used an incredible analogy about why people stop at stop signs and red lights, and it was about because because, you know, it's empathy of whether or not we're going to get somebody else killed if we hit them. That's going to stop us. Like, no, it's order, it's structure, it's logical. There's a law. There is a determining factor there about whether or not you are going to be held account for your actions. There's a law that's being abided by, and it's also logically for public safety. But, you know, most people are paying it. I'm keeping myself. It's great that everybody around me is nice and safe on the road, but I am prioritizing the safety of my car before everything else. Before I can
exactly,
you know, I mean
it's a value statement. It's a value statement, is what it comes down to, and it's that's where it gets cultural. It's that, you know, we see a red stop sign and everybody knows stop, but when you're so culturally divided, not everybody sees stop. Some people will see, okay, challenge accepted, look left and right and go.
Well, yes, and Pete. That's really what it comes down to. There are competing, and thank you for the call again. We're talking about competing realities. It's a competing reality. So, you know, immigration law is subjective. It's subjective. You know, a person that's just that's what we're dealing with here. So it's not actually a really great argument. It hasn't been thought out at all. It's just it's a cheat code just to project that the way that you see the world, no matter how juvenile and underdeveloped the thought is and the worldview is, if you see that as a moral base, that anybody who is not walking in lockstep with that is in some way living an immoral life. Witting or unwittingly. If it's wittingly, then they're evil. Unwittingly, then they're woefully misguided. I mean, that you can't deal with that. They say, where does the discipline come from? You know, where does the discipline come from? How do we get John C. Reilly running at 2:00 in the morning? Here, let's take a call from Mark. Go ahead.
Yep, it's Mark the Carnivore. How are you?
Hey, Carnivore. Good to hear from you.
Likewise. Yeah, you know, it's funny. My kids are older, 33 and 27, and there's nothing greater than having my 33-year-old call me and thank me for being hard on him when he was growing up.
So Mark the Carnivore, let me ask you this. To what, I mean, you just saw that a little bit of that video right there of what Brandon Marshall did with his son. I don't know how old he is. He looks pretty young. He looks like he's younger than 12. 2:00 in the morning running. I don't know what he did, but that was the prescription from his father, and they're doing it together. Aside from the fact that it was videotaped and posted publicly on social media, what do you think about the actual disciplining, and what do you remember about the kind of toughness that you had to do with your now 33-year-old?
Well, I guess I was a softie because I wasn't going to get up at 2 a.m. and put my kids
I know,
on, but
that's too much for me to do.
Yeah, I mean, I ran. I remember my youngest one was slacking on the football field, and I made him run till he threw up, and he never did that again. So I think he learned a boundary. I think he learned what it means to power through something because he kept going. And I remember one time in a game, he just lifted up his helmet. He just puked, threw the helmet back down, got right back in the game again. So it was. I think you build character by doing things like that. I think they resent you early on, but when they get older and they realize life's not, you know, participation trophies all around, I think they learn, you know, discipline and self-worth by being just a little harder on them. I mean, it wasn't, I mean, every one of them, you know, both of them, you get a beating every now and again, but nothing too bad. But you just set the clear lines and the boundaries. And I agree. He probably shouldn't have put it on social media. Should have kept it between him and his son. But you were. Wonder what the kid did.
Yeah, you were. But you're fine with the actual, you know, going for a drive at 2 a.m. though. That was all right.
If it was bad enough that I had to get up and make him run at 2 a.m., he could have beat him. So
yeah,
I mean, again, I think you have a situation where, hey, you know what, this kid did something, and Dad's teaching him a lesson. I bet he doesn't do it again.
Well, I love the call. Thank you for giving me a couple of minutes of your time, Mark.
I appreciate you.
All right. I appreciate you too. Thank you so much. Let's get a little bit more, everybody. Give us a buzz. Here's what Sam Hyde says. And this actually got a lot of interesting back and forth. People who were, usually I guess on his side thinking, no. I think you're off on this one, Sam. But I don't know. I can see his point. And as someone who has been hit with many different props, by the way, I've been hit with many different props. It wasn't just, belts, both sides of the belt, or, just objects from around the house, just throwing things, whatever the hell it was, wooden spoons. Then when the wooden spoons break and they're chipped, you still keep using it. Then it has only one purpose, the chipped wooden spoon. But hitting your kids, this is what Sam Hyde said. Hitting your kids is in the same category as circumcision, iPads, strict adherence to the CDC vaccine schedule. It's for the NS, it's for the Goyim, and Walmart pajama people. It lowers IQ, Strauss, 1995, increases aggression, Gershoff, 2016. It's less effective than a timeout, requires escalation to keep working. The replies to articles like this, which one is he talking about again? No, the New York Post. A shocking number of millennial and Gen Z parents spank their kids, study says. Necessary to raise a child properly is one of the quotes that they put in, the quotes they put in there. The replies to this article like this are filled up with the dumbest people who ever existed saying, it worked for me, and then genuinely malicious and hateful morons dropping reaction gifs of Daffy Duck swinging a belt. Quote, every state in America allows you to physically correct your child. It's legal, it's fun, bring it on, end quote. Profile says cat sanctuary dad, unyielding steel, workouts, keto, cat chaos, anime rants, Godzilla, Gundam, Mazinger, Ultraman, classical art, manga. If you hit your kids, you will create permanent emotional distance with the only people that you could ever be that close to. Not to mention sending them down the road of being as much of a lost fuck-up loser as you are, who will hit their own kids or won't, but only after spending a decade figuring out why they reflexively apologize all the time. Hey, I don't go around preaching peaceful parenting and all that stuff like as a brand, but we don't hit Aurora. And compared to a lot of other children in her age range, I mean, she's an angel. Maybe we just got lucky, but it's not without our input. And it has always been about creating, peaceful routines and open dialogue, but of course, sternness, learning how to accept no. Learning how to accept no, learning how to accept consequences. It's not just do what you want, sweetie. It's, it's flower power and bullshit. So I often see a lot of people misconstruing what we're seeing in the streets, what we see with people who are out of their minds, who are acting crazy, the younger Gen Z and some alpha now that are just running around and just I don't know, the stealing, the theft, the looting, all that other shit. It's fatherless behavior, most of it. And it's also not only fatherlessness, but it's also that they are just being beaten. It's between being beaten, manhandled physically, and also neglect. And I see too many people that misattribute, oh, this is why peaceful parenting's bullshit. It's like, no, this is not peaceful parenting. This is like no parenting to just violent parenting. That's actually what causes a lot more of this shit than that. But I want to hear what you guys think. I'm not, you call in tonight, I'm not going to judge you if you've ever, gone belt to ass, whatever. It's not like that wasn't how I was raised. I survived it. I don't think I was better for it. I don't know if anybody is better for it. That's what I'm saying. I think a lot of us, got through it. We have a different set of memories than my daughter's going to have. And, but whatever. Let's see. Let's take a call. 713, you're on the air. Who's this?
This is Swish from Houston.
Hello there, sir, from Houston. What do you think about this topic?
Well, I kind of agree with it because he's a professional athlete, and God knows what he had to go to get there. I don't agree with the fact that it's online, because could you imagine if it was us back in I was in the late 80s or 90s? I don't, like, it's bad enough to get grounded from the car or something, but can you imagine our parents posting that online? It was embarrassing enough as it is.
Oh, yeah.
I think but maybe he's just, it's because it's very, it's like, that's why Michael Jordan could never be a coach, because he's always disciplined. Nobody ever lived up to his standards. So it's very rare for a kid to be a professional athlete after his father. It's happened a few times. The Peyton Manning family, it's happened a few times, but the odds are way against it. You know what I mean? So he was trying to discipline he was trying to show him what he had to go through. I think when you get money like that and you're retired, sometimes the kids get a little weak, which is okay. You got money for generations to come. So I don't know if you put it online. That's what I was thinking immediately. You don't want to embarrass the guy.
I think that's where a lot of people go wrong. A lot of people.
I think that's where you were at too on it, right?
Yeah, I think that's where a lot of people go wrong with a lot of things here. I mean, I see. I'll put it to you. I'll put it to you this way here too. First of all, is there anything else you want to say? I don't want to cut you off. Go right ahead.
Yeah, I got a couple of things real quick. You can answer. You can respond to that later. Luciana, right?
Luciana.
How are you spelling that? Because if you should do it with C-I-N-A, it's almost like Louisiana.
Luciana. Luciana.
Well, it's close to Louisiana, which Louisiana purchase was in 1803, and I used to live in Baton Rouge, and that was named after. You probably know this, but that was named after King Louis and Queen Anna. That's why they call it Louisiana. So and Luciana, I think in Latin or Italian means light, right?
Yeah, it does. Which it's another reason why it was we liked it, because it kind of it really follows Aurora well, because if you think about the mythological.
Yeah, I knew it, right? Cool name. But here's the last thing, real quick. Don't hang up on me. Hey, you don't use this enough because I think it's funny. When you use that thing, sometimes to change your voice.
Oh, you like that? I love that too.
You did the other day with it. You did, yeah, it's funny. But I'm a DJ, right? And so I was looking. The other day you did a robot voice. So I got online. I looked, and they range from $300 or $400 to $30,000. I'm like, what brand do you use? And I could go buy one.
Jeez, a $3,000 voice changer. That's some heavy duty shit.
Well, they got. No. But that's if it's more than $1,000, the one you're using, I'm not going to buy it. But
well, I mean,
but I was,
over here, what
online for $300, but it's not the same one. It's the same one. Cause I got the that thing in the background where you got the green lights. I've got one just like that.
Yeah, well,
it looks cool as hell.
Well, that one right there, the actual, what is it, the actual spectrum analyzer that we have over here. I wanted to be able to have that there as a visual aid. Thank you for the call, my friend. I wanted to have this as a visual aid over here because we lost so much technology on this side of the room once I upgraded the sound system from that Frankensteinish old school mixer, the compressors, the noise gates, all, feedback destroyers, all that stuff. When I was able to consolidate all that into the Rodecaster Pro 2. That's less than $1,000, and it completely condensed everything behind me. If you just want a voice changer, I mean that's some cheap shit, very cheap stuff. As far as Luciana goes, it's not spelled like Louisiana and does not sound like Louisiana at all. Just saying. Louisiana is L-O-U-S. No, L-O-U-I-S-I-A-N-A. It's just not the same thing at all. But what was the other thing? Okay, it was the discipline thing, and it was also shit. Now I fucking lost it. Talking about robot voice changers. What was the other thing there, too? Come on, it's right there. It's right there. I want to punch myself. I want to punch it out of me. I see you. I see you. Who are you? What is the thought? Oh, man. I want to grab it. I want to grab the thought that's sitting right there. I want to reach into my skull and grab it, pull it out. Obviously, it was about discipline, but there was also a positive spin to it. There was another angle I was going to come at it, and it's gone. Just let it go, Frank. Forget about it. That's just the way things go. Don't worry. You're going to watch Mr. Rogers with people on the flip side tonight. That's all that matters. All right, 914-200-0269. Here's a couple of the comments under the Sam Hyde thing. Noble says this. He says, Noble Heart says, this is the most courageous thing you've probably ever posted and will win you the most pushback you'll ever get. Don't take it personally. It's everyone's internalized demons lashing out at truth. And then somebody shows up with a Bible verse, Proverbs 23:13-14. Sam, this is probably the gayest and most retarded take I've ever seen from you. While you cite psychology studies from the same Jews that you call out in every YouTube video, it is actually kind of ironic that he used Goyim, and then the two studies cited were who was it again? It's Strauss and Gershoff. While you cite psychology studies, beating your child in the head until they're senseless is obviously bad, but discipline isn't. And here it is. Do not withhold discipline from a child. If you punish them with the rod, they will not die. Punish them with the rod and save them from death. That's from the Bible. And about 3,500 people like it. People think, well, hey, well, listen, a little physical contact isn't going to... But I understand about the trust breaking there. I understand about the trust breaking and how, you think about... Then on the other hand, you think about some things that a child does. How does it commensurate? Like, what did they do? Did they destroy property? Did they do something really bad? What do you do? What is as effective for something that is this? Let's say your child does something that brings at least great shame upon your house, embarrasses you out there. They act just like completely atrocious in some way that cannot be overlooked and needs to be addressed. And that they're just whatever. Maybe it's a chronic situation. Maybe it's it just happened. They had a bad day, but it cannot be left unaddressed. What is as effective as punishing them with the rod? That's what I would say. For people out there who have grappled with that, because I must say, I mean, I have to imagine if Aurora was a boy, I'd be dealing with something a little bit different. Obviously, much different energy, much different needs, much different approaches to everything. And at the end of this year, it'll be Aurora plus another girl. So we'll see how all that works out. But still, she's 6. I understand the changes that are coming up. We all go through those changes. Everybody has different flavors. Everybody's got different flavors of change. But as of this point, I wonder what you guys think about that. Let me see here. I was spanked a couple of times growing up and have the best parents literally anyone on earth could ask for. The binary thinking people have on this issue is emotionally rooted, says Dissident West. Call in on this. I want to know. What's something that your parents did that would get them canceled today that you don't necessarily look back on and say, that ruined me. That was horrible. That was unnaturally bad. It was just, hey, listen, I acted out. And when I acted out, sometimes I got spanked. It didn't lead me to any weird fetishes. I can tell you that much. Because I still don't really like pain that much. Don't like it. So I don't ask Lauren to kick me in the nuts with stilettos on or anything like that. It's just, It just happened. And I did not, there was many nights I would have to run around the dining room table to get away from my mother. It wasn't my father. My father could never hit us. And that is why we ran all over him. I knew he could never, it would never hit us. And the one time he chased after, Anthony, and I thought he was finally mad enough to hit Anthony. I thought my father was finally mad enough to hit Anthony. And Anthony did his signature move when he dropped to the floor. When Anthony knew, like when I was chasing Anthony and I was going to beat the shit out of him, I was always very, very considerate. I never hit Anthony's face. I never hit his face. But I would just destroy his body, his arms, his chest, whatever, his back. We would just hit each other. We would always be very respectful of each other's face. It was like, not in the face, all right? It was like an honor thing. We wouldn't fuck each other's face up. But Anthony had this signature move when he was being chased by somebody and he knew that he was not going to be able to outrun them. He would just decide when he was going to give up, and he would drop to the ground and just stick his feet in the air and just start using his legs as that final bit of defense of just being able to keep distance from somebody and, pushing and kicking them away. And he was getting chased by my father, which I don't know how you can't outrun my father. And Anthony leaned back, dropped back into his defense position, and just threw a heel out and got my father right in the stomach. My father let out this howl. And and I still think about it today, and it's funny, but it was not funny. Couldn't have been very, very good to be my dad. It couldn't have been very good to be my dad. There's other reasons. There's other things going on there. We just did not. There was no. Actually, goes back to what we were saying before when Pete called in talking about the loss of his father and why he really did not. He didn't ever have that thread of fatherly discipline and guidance. In many ways, that was how it was with us. And we had to cobble together a lot of that. And we, to certain levels, maybe we had to cobble that guidance together from multiple places. And perhaps it wasn't the most complete guide to becoming a man, but you learn along the way. And one way or another, life is going to teach you. But it's good to have somebody there early on to help you regulate your thoughts, how to breathe through hard times, how to be, resourceful in a way that, you find your way through. And that's what we were talking about over here, discipline, tough love, empathy. Do you let a child just go run wild because, hey, listen, they're living their truth? John C. Reilly, where does empathy and sympathy come in and balance it against discipline? Whereas in the macro kind of view of what's going on around here, we're talking about law and order and those who completely flout the law. What do you do with that? To what point when does the law start meaning something? Because obviously immigration law doesn't mean anything. If you got here, apparently you won the race and you should be awarded for getting here and sneaking through without anybody noticing. To a liberal, that's you win. You won. You got here. Here's money that somebody else earned. And just remember who to thank when one day you are finally given voting rights, or when somebody gives you a stolen social security number to go and vote even though you're not supposed to. That's how a liberal approaches it. You won, here's somebody else's money, and remember who to thank the day that you find a reason and you find a way to go and cast a vote somewhere in this country. Remember what party to thank. What kind of behavior you're going to get from that? So yeah. All right. Let me get back into those super chats, because remember, tomorrow is the giveaway. We got 2 prizes. I'm giving away precious metals. I'm giving away, the $2 bills. Especially this one. I love the 1953 red stamp. I love that. You know what I love especially about it? It's the old green ink. You guys know. It looks so green that you think it's actually counterfeit. Actually. Is it counterfeit? Look at those margins. That's a lot of margin around. But then again, it's the 50s. It's beautiful. Anyhow, and remember, I've got 7 more of these first edition. Quite frankly, now they're going to be, the postcard club is going to be all custom postcards. So sign up for the postcard club. You can get into those tiers on Subscribestar or Patreon. The links to both Subscribestar and Patreon are in the links below this episode or on the sponsor page on quitefrankly.tv. We need people who love the show to support the show. And that's the way it's going to be. CN Peaker 5728 says, I want to make a cutting board for you, Frank. Woodworking is my hobby. That would be incredible. We just had a quite frankly, a rotating, almost like a lazy Susan charcuterie board that was sent to us by a good friend of ours out there, I believe Adam. And a cutting board would be incredible. Thank you so much for the thought. Because not only would it be great just to have around here, it'd be great to roll out on VIP nights whenever we have more events that we do in 2027. It'd be great, just cutting steak by the grill, using the pluck. Reach out to me, Frank at quitefrankly.tv. Because if woodworking is your hobby, if you want to make something small to give away for a super chat raffle, do that too. Something really small, like a couple of coasters or something. Make a couple of Quite Frankly coasters. Maybe like 4 Quite Frankly coasters. Whenever the mood strikes, and we'll send out a set for the raffle. That's how I want to keep doing this. Rockman Drums, thank you again. Hold on a second. I just saw somebody pop up and go away. We have 335. No, I'm sorry. The votes are coming in still. About 338 votes on what matters more. The truth, balance of truth, depends on the situation, or compassion. It's 50% on truth. I'd have to imagine that balance of truth, the balance between truth and compassion, is just something that's reserved for people. For me, the depending on the situation thing there, I'll tell you what depends on it. And then, of course, it's the person. It's the person. If I see a real interest that somebody shows in what I have to say about something, what I'm thinking about something, they really want to understand my position, and it isn't a setup, and it isn't something that is, rhetorical on their end, and it's not part of some sort of a roundabout attack or whatever the hell it is, then it would be a balance of both. But at this point, hard truth is just what it is. When you're facing off against somebody that is just throwing their backwards ass worldview in your face, and they're being militant about it, then you just, okay, fire with fire. Just going to give it to you cold, and that's it. But I think that balance is really good when you meet somebody who is inquisitive and really curious. I think there's a lot of people out there who have kind of adopted this badass, in your face, white knuckled kind of approach to everything, and they almost don't know how to tone it down to like play down to a person, or to actually get down to your opponent's level, or to raise your game, or whatever the hell it is, turn the heat up. So that makes us a little bit more democratic along the way. Dare I say democratic? Fine line between discipline and maintaining respect. Nephilim says, cheers, Frank. I'm late for the show. Here's one for the Coconut Fund. Thank you so much, Nephilim. It's good to see something from you. Okay. Well, the lines are still open. We'll be getting off in just a second. Let me see all of the comments that came in elsewhere. Corey says hello. So does Silly Boar. Vesper says Dad shot robins out of the cherry tree. They were stepping on wine supply. Used a shotgun. Well, I'm trying to figure out what the hell that means. I have a tendency of forgetting about things that we said in the beginning of a show. So I'm trying to figure out what that means. You got to, Vesper, you just got to remind me on the flip side what the hell happened there. Okay, thank you, Sean Joe. Safety Net says best show, most relevant and entertaining interviews, guests, and topics on the planet Earth. Thank you, Frank, for all of your consistent dedication. Well, I appreciate you, Lynn. You're very, very nice. And it's good to have you out there every night, or most every night. Sean Joe again. Awakened Boomer says, hey, Frank, what's going on there, Grady? Sentinel says, I used to watch the HBO special Comic Relief back in the 90s. I even supported the gig by buying merch. Now, after 35 years, after the 35-year crisis, I want is the institutions back and to end the funding, to end homelessness, but only enables, and to end the funding, to end hopelessness, but only enables its expansion. Homelessness. Well, how many years old now? What is it? Isn't the war on drugs 50 years old at this point? It doesn't end. Molly Artie says, I've gotten to the point that I can't keep up with the narrative, so now I just watch Quite Frankly and at least get caught up in a little. Yeah, well, I'm not going to drag you down too much. We're going to get to the big news, things like that. But nights like this are necessary. Tomorrow should be good. I think Jeff Harmon is going to stop by for a brief beginning of summer astro forecast. Just a brief. If you have any questions for Jeff Harmon, get in touch with me. I think it's not going to be a full segment as usual. It's going to be a short little check-in. They actually reached out to me. I said, sure, you know what? It's my last night before we go to a little weekend road trip. So it will be great to talk to him and have a couple other topics lined up. Thank you, Lynn. Thank you, Doodah Man and Sean Joe. Let's take a call from Dirk. You there?
I am indeed. How you doing, Frank?
I'm doing all right. What's on your mind?
Great topic tonight. Great topic. So when I was growing up, my father was always a spanker, and with belts, with his hand. One particular time you're talking about, might have crossed the line. Those paddle paddles?
Yeah.
He busted one of those on me one night. And so that was probably the most extreme time ever. And I think later in life we talked about it, and it made him feel so bad he didn't spank me ever again. So he felt really bad about that. Moving fast forward, I've got 4 children. The first 3 were girls. The first girl is like your little Aurora. I mean, she did not do, surprisingly, anything wrong. I raised my voice a couple times to her. No problems whatsoever. And then I had 2 more girls after that. And I always, something about me, I felt like I'm never going to spank my daughters, because once I've crossed that line of communication, something's broken there. So what I would do, though, I would always take the punishment to whatever, what transgressed. And it, as my daughters, I got to my 3rd daughter, she was always kind of always crossing always testing. But I found ways of the punishment coming in different ways, like as extreme, going to the extreme, doors being taken off of bedrooms, nails going into phones, into the when you're taking a picture.
Yep.
I drove nails into those, so no more picture taking, and again, I would just elevate the punishment with the, what was transgressed. And I always found ways of making my point so they wouldn't even go with it. They wouldn't go near that line, so, but it wasn't physical. I never felt good about, especially with my girls, ever laying a hand on them like that. It was always with respect and they turned out great. I mean, really, really, really good people. So I felt like I did it right, you know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it sounds like you're at peace with it, so that's really great. How old are all the kids?
The oldest one is in her early 30s. Second one is in her late 20s, and then the third one is in her early 20s. And all of them are doing fantastic. I mean, my middle girl is a director at a financial investment company, and the other one's a registered nurse, and so they've all done very, very well. And so I feel good with it.
I'm happy. I'm happy to hear it. And thank you for the call. This was a great way to, we're probably going to end about a couple of seconds early, but this was a great way to end tonight. Thank you for contributing.
Okay, thanks, Frank.
All right.
As always, great show.
Thank you. Thank you. It's feeling good. Couple more over here. Hitting and spanky are two different things. It's always people with no children who have the loudest, most disconnected takes. That's TJVS. Jordan B says, I love these responses. Not beating the shit out of your kids will make them weak, and I'm very strong. Yeah, but it takes a real warlord to hit a child who doesn't even know what's going on. Spanking is for angry, powerless men who have no control over their lives. Well, damn. See, this really touches on a nerve. This is the last call of the night. Let's see. Caller, you're on the air. Go right ahead.
Hi, Frank. My name's Heather.
Heather, hello.
I wanted to offer a little bit of a different perspective on the spanking.
Go ahead.
So we have 5 kids. We have spanked all of them to some degree, not a ton, definitely not beating. But, you know, they're all now between 10 and 18. I don't think we're going to spank any of them anymore. They're, you know, very well.
You should start that 18. You should try to spank the 18-year-old now.
Definitely not. But I've even told the 10-year-old, no, I think you're done with spankings. You know, it's been quite a while. But a perspective I wanted to add was I'm a teacher in a Christian school, and I teach English, and spanking comes up quite a bit in literature. Tom Sawyer, some other novels where, you know, at different times in our culture, it was just part of our culture that parents spanked. So it comes up in stories, and the kids in our school, probably a lot of them, coming from our religious background, have just grown up being spanked. And those kids who have been spanked approach this literature just really matter-of-factly. It's just par for the course when they hear about a character getting spanked. But it's the kids who've never been spanked that just have these looks of horror on their faces. So I've always found that kind of interesting. Like, you know, these kids in our Christian school that have been spanked, their parents aren't beating them. They're doing it to discipline them. And the kids know the difference. But those who've had kind of this more, you know, maybe a more gentle parenting approach or a permissive approach, they're the ones who think that this is a horrible thing. Just, you know, I don't know, something to think about.
It is something to think about, and I really appreciate you coming at it from the perspective of an educator too. And thank you for helping me end the show like this.
All right. Well, thanks for taking my call.
Okay. Well, thank you. And you know what? There's something that we should always remember. We should always remember something here. Always remember that spanking isn't always just for kids who have been misbehaving, but also for Yvonne DiCarlo as well. Frontier Gal, 1945. This is when mommies used to get spankings, and they knew that it's because he loves me.
Say, what goes on there? She talked too much.
Daddy, you spanked Mama.
You're darn tootin' I did.
That means you love her.
That's what I've been trying to tell her.
That's what I've been trying to tell her. Oh my gosh. That's something else. That's something else. He loves me. That's the face of he loves me. That's what I've been trying to tell her. She talks to. Oh my gosh.
She's a woman, Jamuga.
She sure is. Those are the good old days. Those are the good old days, right? I just love that last part there.
Daddy, you spanked Mama.
You're darn tootin' I did.
That means you love her.
That's what I've been trying to tell her.
Oh, honey, are you serious? She's like, thank you. Then more, please. Please. Don't let up. It means you love me less. Okay, everybody. I just want to thank you all so much for hanging out with me tonight. We'll be together again tomorrow night. I am going to read the rest of your super chats from Pilled on the other side of the flip side. But I'm going to invite you guys. I'm going to drop the link into the chat. I mean, we ran away with it with this the truth poll. 50% says truth, and a balance of both is 28. Good for you guys. Good for you guys. We got truth tellers out there. But I'm going to put the link in the chat room. If you can't find it, go to quitefrankly.tv, press play. We're going to watch one particular class trip. A class trip, a field trip. Mr. Rogers to the whatchamacallit, the grocery store. So we just watch it together. I said, yeah, we'll watch this. Maybe we'll rip it apart a little bit, or maybe we can just watch and observe everything. But that'll happen. We'll be going into the lights go off at 9:30. So if you want to spend a half hour overtime, that'd be great. And again, if you enjoy the show, whether it's been for years, whether you found me last month, just know I got 20 years in the game. And I plan on going another 40 with you. Okay? As long as I keep talking and I don't have old man Cottonmouth, I'll keep talking. Then maybe I'll just strictly go to writing after that. But I promise you, if you get in on the culture club level of $5 a month, even just $5 a month, I promise you, you're going to get 10 times 10 back in value. You're going to love it. The movies we watch, the books that we read, everything else, the Sunday streams, and then all of the members only discounts and video and, behind the scenes footage and whatever the hell it is. I promise you, you are not going to forget it. You're not going to regret a dime that you have pledged. And I will see you guys on the flip side, all right? Be well. Thank you so much.
I'll catch you on the flip side.
Yes, Quite Frankly is filmed before a live studio audience. And now, our super chatters, starring Jeannie Yankee Fan says, I love this show. Thank you for being here, Frank. Thank you, Jeannie. CN Peaker, Rockman Drums. Oh, we got some good representation from Twitch tonight. Good for you guys. Thank you all. Jay Brits, Mark the Carnivore, who called in, Shotzi, and many more. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Check the comments. Check for the link, and I'll see you on the flip.
A kitty cat.
You're a kitty cat?
Your turn.
Hello. I'm a kitty cat as well.